Hello and welcome to our Facebook live stream Zoomcast. This is Paul Hoyt and Shane McKenna. I'm Paul. I'm the CEO of Ascending Harvest, and we are excited to be able to bring you an update today on the Ascending Harvest project. We've been wanting to do this for several weeks, but life kind of got in the way a little bit. So we had a few delays which were not planned for, but which are, I think, mostly behind us. My good buddy Shane here and his family were facing a few challenges, but I think you're on the other side of that now. Isn't that right, Shane?
Yeah, we had some medical challenges come up that for both Debbie and I, and actually it extended into the extended family because we were all helping Debbie through a medical emergency, and we all got the flu while attending to her in the hospital. So we have had a lot of fun, but everybody's on the other side of it, and we are enjoying renewed and actually better health than what we were experiencing going into everything. So yeah, good news all around. Just a little bump in the road. Life throws speed bumps out there, and and you get jostled up if you're not expecting them, and that's what happened. But we're going to keep plugging along, and we're going to make things happen.
Well, I oftentimes marvel at the human body's ability to recover from disease. One of the coolest things is if we scratch ourselves or we get a bruise, we look at it a few days later or a couple of weeks later and it's all gone. And that's where we are, is on the other side of those things. And we're excited to bring you some updates. Again, we wanted to do this several weeks ago, but life got in the way, so we'll apologize for that. And we'll give you a lot of exciting news that's been happening here with Ascending Harvest. First of all, last month, Shane had the privilege of meeting Jackie Chan and being one of the central figures in, I guess it was a commemorative kind of event to honor Jackie Chan for his heroic efforts around the world and his humanitarian ventures. Shane, why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Jackie Chan, one of the things that a lot of people don't know about Jackie is that he's a very dedicated and passionate environmentalist. And getting to meet Jackie and hear his stories about how he became an environmentalist and the work that he does in that regard, and now that has been honored, and so there is a documentary. I don't know when it's coming out, or maybe it's already came out on the Discovery Channel, of Jackie Chan Green Hero. So what happened here in Utah is we have a museum called the Leonardo, and so it's a museum dedicated to invention and innovation, and it's an educational museum. So the Leonardo was chosen as the North American launching point of a group of art exhibits that all of the art has come from cast-offs from Jackie Chan's movie sets. And so Jackie has dedicated himself to recycling and repurposing, and there was a bunch of artists that were commissioned to create pieces that help bring awareness to small things that we can all do to help the environment. And so one of the things is, I got the Jackie Chan's book signed by Jackie for being part of the event. And my role in the event is there was a environmental impact panel, and I was chosen as one of 6 members to be on that panel because of the work that we're doing with Ascending Harvest to not only solve hunger, but Ascending Harvest actually is helping the environment as well. And so there's an environmental impact component of Ascending Harvest. The primary thing that we do to help the environment is we help people grow their own food locally, so it completely eliminates shipping and packaging of food, so that food is grown in and distributed right there in the local community where it's needed. And once a system is there and set up, it requires no outside support from outside that community, everything that that system needs is available in that community, and everything that that system produces can be distributed right there in that community, thereby interrupting that cycle where we grow food somewhere else and then put it in containers and ship it across the ocean and put it on trucks and get it to these remote places of the world. Ascending Harvest has a huge environmental impact by making sure that food is produced right where people need it.
And when you eliminate the distribution costs and the packaging costs and a lot of the labor costs of producing food by putting these systems in the hands of families and communities so they can grow their own food, we also strongly believe that we're going to cut the cost of feeding hungry families in half, that we can deliver meals for 15 or 16 cents when you amortize the cost of the system over a period of years, which these systems should last 3, 5, 10 years, depending upon how much they're exposed to ultraviolet light. That's tremendous. I mean, that means we can really take a huge step towards ending world hunger and doing our part to do that. So we're very, very excited about that.
Yeah, in fact, these systems, if they're installed correctly and with our recommendations, then they will last for decades because there's no moving parts. There's nothing to break down. If things get plugged up, it's easy to flush them out. So yeah, we can make a huge environmental impact with our technology, and that was recognized, and we got to participate in that panel. I represented Ascending Harvest and what we do, and got to participate on that panel, which was a huge honor. And so thank you to Jackie Chan and the Leonardo for recognizing the work we do and asking us to participate in that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And that kind of is a nice segue into the technology that we have ourselves. Shane spent a few minutes and created a new diagram that I think better explains the system. And we'd like to take just a minute or two here now and go over that. So I'm going to share my screen with you and share this really fantastic diagram that Shane has come up with, and invite him to take just a few minutes and talk about all of the components of the human-powered hydroponic gardens.
Yeah, so on the right side of the diagram, starting right at the top, you see there's an air pump. Now that air pump looks like a recycled plastic bottle, and that's because it is. So that air pump is a pump that when it wears out, because this is literally the only component in the system that will wear out from use. And so when that wears out, we teach people how to make another one from a discarded plastic bottle. There we're helping the environment again because you're recycling and reusing something that they have a waste stream problem in many of these communities. They don't have the infrastructure for delivery, and they also don't have the infrastructure to get rid of their trash. So they have lots of plastic containers, and this is a very small way that we can help impact that, but because they have all these discarded plastic bottles, why not use those as an air pump? So that's the air pump for the system. As you go down, you'll see it says grow bin. That is the upper bin of our system. That is where the plants grow. So think of that as a giant flower pot. That's a giant planter. And when I say giant, it's our system is, our initial system is a 13-gallon system. So that's a 13-gallon planter. Below there, you'll see that we have another container, and that container is where the water and nutrient is stored and delivered from. So water and nutrients are stored in that bottom container. It's self-contained. You don't lose the water to groundwater. It's also completely sealed, so you don't lose the water to evaporation. Also, very important, what happens in this bottom container is biodigestion. So there's bacterial influence, natural bacterial influence that gets introduced from the environment itself and from the organic materials that is put into the system. That organic material needs to be broken down so that it becomes bioavailable to the plants, and nature does that. And all I'm really doing is providing nature a concentrated system to break down those organic materials, and that's our biodigestion component. Now, if we go over to the left side of the diagram and start up at the top, you'll see there's soil. Now, in almost every case, we want to use soil in our systems, and we're literally the only hydroponic technology in the world that combines soil with hydroponics. So what the soil does for us is that gives the plants all of the good things that soil provides: minerals, microbiology, a place for the nematodes and worms and fungus and all those great things that are in the soil that the plants need, and the pH buffering of the system. So our hydroponic system doesn't have these pH spikes going on, because the soil helps to buffer all of that. And so you get the benefits of growing in soil and the benefits of growing with hydroponics. Below the soil is our patent-pending intelligent grow media. And intelligent grow media is a completely new hydroponics science. Intelligent grow media is the component that I invented 4 years ago, and was that aha moment that this is the key technology that allows so many other things that I've been chasing for decades and trying to figure out. Intelligent grow media is the key component. I like to call it the capstone technology. It's the capstone technology that empowers and enables everything else that happens in the rest of our technology. Without intelligent grow media, you can't build a system like this. And intelligent grow media is a matrix of materials that are using material science to accurately and consistently deliver water and nutrients to the roots of plants, as well as giving the roots a stable and structured environment to grow into. Now, we can grow plants exclusively in the intelligent grow media without the soil, but where soil is available, it adds some beneficial attributes to the system. So we can grow food without the soil and just using intelligent grow media, but we prefer to have a system with soil. So when we go into these communities, different communities, if there is a community that has contaminated soil, or it's a situation where there's just no soil available, like it's an urban environment and they just literally have no access to soil, then we will create systems without the soil. But anyway, I don't need to belabor that point. We love to have a hybrid system that has soil. Moving down is the anaerobic chamber. And anaerobic bacteria are the heavy lifters in the biodigestion system in nature. Anaerobic bacteria is the bacteria that exists in stagnant waters, in swamps, in areas where you don't have a lot of oxygen in the water. And that anaerobic bacteria is really good at chewing up organic materials and breaking it down. Below that, we have our air battery. So this green container that you see is actually an upside down container that traps air, so that when our air pump is used to fill the system with air, the air gets trapped in this green container, and that is a battery. It's an air battery. So instead of storing electricity as energy, we're storing air as energy. So that air battery stores that air, but also the air is under pressure because it's underwater. The water level is, the gravity is literally creating air pressure. And when air is put under pressure underwater, it exchanges oxygen much more rapidly. So what happens when somebody pumps up the system, they're not only filling this air battery, which is the source of energy for the system, it's also highly oxygenating that water that's in the bottom of that chamber. The next component is our air-driven water pump. This is a pump that I invented about 4 or 5 years ago. And it takes that stored air, and that stored air is metered into the pump in such a way that it pumps water very efficiently up into our grow bin. And when that air is used to pump that, it's also oxygenating that water and nutrient mix. And that air contains 3 components that the plants need, and so we're pumping those 3 components directly to the roots of the plant. So we're pumping oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen by using air as our energy source and using an air-driven pump. We're delivering 3 of the things that all plants need right to the roots of the plant with our system. So our roots are highly oxygenated. It delivers CO2 to the base of the plant where the plant can absorb that CO2, and it's putting nitrogen directly into the intelligent grow media in the soil, where there's microbes in the soil that takes that oxygen nitrogen and turns it into a plant nitrogen. So this is one of the reasons why plants grow so fast and so robust in our system, because the technology of our system is actually helping to deliver some of those things that the plants need from the air. And we have all of these trace minerals and nutrients that are delivered by the organic material that gets put into the system to run the nutrient cycle of the system. So what we've created is a complete microbiome life support system for plants. And I'm very excited that we have this diagram that we could share with you how that all works. It's mothering nature. It's giving nature the things that nature needs to give to support the plants, and all we're doing is putting it together in a way that supports that and turbocharges that, if you will, so that nature can do what nature does best and create nutrients and grow plants.
That was an awesome explanation. Just awesome. I love to hear you talk about this invention that you've created over the last, 20 or 30 years, and really the genius level insights that have gone into creating this system. So that makes me even more excited about getting this out to hundreds of thousands or millions of families around the world. You got, speaking of that pump, I think you wanted to share a little bit on the pump that you have today, right?
I do. So I've got a little bit of show and tell here. So this is, we're in the process of getting our tooling made, but this is the body of our pump. And one of the innovations, so air-driven pumps are not new. They've been around since the 1800s. They've been used to dewater mines. They've been used to pump water out of wells. They've been used in the hydroponic industry. There's people who have figured out different ways of putting air-driven pumps together. My innovation is I figured out how to simplify the design and use just 2 components in order to do all of the air porting. So we have 2 injection molded components, which are super inexpensive. And that's the key here, is it reduces the cost. It reduces the labor of building these other pumps, because all these other pumps have to be, there's a lot of assembly and custom building of them. One of the other innovations on our pump is that I've designed it so this plug here, it's really hard to see. Maybe you can see it's kind of triangular shaped, and depending on how you insert the plug into this port determines how much airflow goes into the pump, which allows us to take one single pump and make it adaptable across many different sizes of systems. So when we ship out a pump, this airflow plug will already be inserted for the proper airflow for that, or the proper water flow for that system. But we can use this same pump for many different sizes of systems, and that reduces our costs. So there's a lot of engineering that has gone into making sure that we have that all of our components are flexible and able to be used on multiple different systems. And so, yeah, now we have, soon, we're getting our tooling made now, but we will soon have an injection molded pump that's very, very inexpensive. And you'll notice there's no moving parts. There's no moving parts. This is all done with scientific principles of air siphoning and porting, and so there's nothing in there to break down. If it does plug up, which is also very hard to plug these up, I've had one of these pumps running in my system for a year and never plugged it up, so it's very easy to just back flush the pump if it ever plugs up, which I actually haven't been able to get one to plug up because I'm also careful about how I maintain my system. So yeah, that's our air-driven pump, and we're going to feed the world with that pump.
That's so cool. And you have spent a lot of time in the last couple of months redesigning that pump to make it adjustable, to make it a little simpler from the manufacturing process too, which lowers our tooling costs, which lowers the cost of actually delivering this system. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, and you know, a little bit more behind the scenes, we're actually producing two different styles of injection molded pumps. Excuse me. And the other style of pump will be able to be used not only in our human-powered hydroponic systems, but in some of our commercial and automated systems, but also completely different applications like pumping drinking water from deep wells, from water wells, from being able to use so that you have less maintenance. And these pumps work really, really well when you have a lot of sand or other sediments in the well, because there's no impeller, there's no tight tolerance seals or anything that water has to pass through and wear out. So we're also going to be able to introduce this pump as helping people to pump water out of their wells simply using air that they can either pump manually, or we can use a little solar-powered air pump to drive these pumps and help deliver drinking water out of people's wells in these third world situations as well. Or even in our domestic world, we can pump water out of wells in Texas. So we've got a new pump. I guess that's the key here, and we're producing both of them so that we can help people in many different ways, not just in growing their own food.
And we're getting very close to taking the next steps in our business, which is to produce 200 systems and put them out for field testing with some NGOs and other humanitarian organizations that we've been in contact with in a lot of different countries, from the Philippines to Kenya to Uganda to just a lot of different companies and a lot of different organizations. That's our next step. So we are in the process of still looking for co-founders. We're looking for those people who can come in with their money and their expertise, who will want to take an active role in the company. So we're really not just looking for investors at this point in time. We are looking for co-founders, people who share our passion for leveraging this technology, for leveraging this genius that Shane has been blessed to share with the world, and help feed, hundreds, thousands, millions of families over the coming years, and do what we can to honor and enable the United Nations initiative to end world hunger by 2030. We think we can do a lot because we enable anybody anywhere to grow their own food. We enable family gardens and community gardens in places where they never had the possibility before, because this technology uses less water than any other growing system on the planet. It doesn't require any electricity, it doesn't require any experience, and it doesn't even require any soil, as Shane said earlier. So it's honestly some incredible technology that's going to make a huge difference in the world. So if you know of anybody or you are that person who is called to help us on this mission, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about how you can become a co-founder here at Ascending Harvest. We've also been blessed to have a few other opportunities come our way. Because of the innovations that Shane has created, we're starting to get inquiries and we're exploring the possibilities of using this technology in the medical cannabis market and the industrial CBD oil market, because that's where they really need systems that are highly efficient, that grow crops in a very small amount of space, and that can enable the purity of the crops as well, because there's no contamination from the outside and they use less energy than any other system that's out there. So Shane, talk just a little bit about those commercial opportunities that we have with Ascending Harvest, in addition to the humanitarian, human-powered hydroponic technologies.
Yeah, so this year here in Utah, where I live, medical cannabis was approved for use, and we're beginning to get people who are looking at creating cultivation centers in order to cultivate the cannabis that's going to be used for those CBD and THC oils and edibles for healing people here in Utah. And people have been reaching out to me in that industry, and people who want to build cultivation centers in that industry have been reaching out to me because they have heard about Ascending Harvest, they've heard about our technology, and they recognize the benefits. So something that's been going on behind the scenes for the last couple of years, I've been reaching out to the cannabis industry, and I've been researching that industry. It's not an industry that I've ever worked in before, so prior to this reaching out and talking to growers and talking to people in that industry, I literally had no experience with growing cannabis or using cannabis in any way. But for the last 2 years, I've been doing a deep dive in that industry and learning what their needs are. And one of the things that is both good for the consumers of these medical cannabis grade products is that states have recognized that they need to test the cannabis that's going into the medical products for chemicals that are being used, synthetic chemicals that are being used to grow the cannabis. And they have determined that there are certain chemicals that they feel or they know and feel are harmful to the body, and they want to make sure that no cannabis is grown with these. And so in multiple states, they have begun to test for these chemical signatures. And for example, in the state of Colorado says that 35% of cannabis is being destroyed right now because of these chemical signatures in the cannabis that the state is working really hard to keep out of the cannabis products that people are consuming. So the benefit of our systems is we get the energetic growth, the full nutrient component of that plant, the full production capacity of that plant, without ever introducing any of these synthetic nutrients, fungicides, herbicides. We're able to help people grow their product without these things, so they never introduce that chemical signature in the first place. So it's good news for the consumer. It's good news for the people who need the cannabis for medication, and it's good news for the growers. So it's a win-win-win. So we're very excited to begin to explore that, and we have several growers that are going to be putting our systems into testing, and as that testing bears fruit and we're able to demonstrate the advantages of our technology, we're going to be really excited to share that to the medical cannabis industry and hopefully help both consumers and growers of that for their needs.
Awesome. Thanks, Shane. And you've got this funky hat on today. Rest assured, by the way, those of you who know Shane, that he still does have this beautiful long hair, of which I am so jealous. but he's wearing this hat, wearing this hat today for a reason. Share a little bit about the hat and infused hydration.
Yeah, I don't know how many videos I've worn this hat in, but I wear this hat all the time because it's a hat advertising Infused Hydration, which is another company I'm involved in. And I'm very proud that I have been involved in Infused Hydration and that I had the opportunity to invent the technology that makes Infused Hydration possible. And here this looks like a standard water bottle. And what Infused Hydration is we're able to take a cartridge that's filled with flavor, electrolytes, minerals, things that your body needs and wants, and we're able to put that in a separate container, and then that just plugs into the system. And when I drink from this, it's mixing those into my water. So my water's in the bottom, my supplement, flavor and supplements in the cartridge, and this is really hard to see, but there's an adjustable dial here. And that lets me precisely, with very high precision, actually go from drinking straight water to mixing in exactly the amount of concentrate that I want for my health and flavor profile desires. And this isn't just a new gadget. This is an entire new industry. And this is something that the personal water industry has been trying to create since the inception of the industry. And I'm blessed with, when the opportunity was presented to me, that the idea of how that technology could work popped into my head from wherever it came from. And, and I was able to engineer and create this technology, which we just learned that our utility patent for the different technologies in here that make this all work was granted. I just learned that this week. So that's another patent in my quiver of patents. And I'm very proud of this, because one of the reasons I'm very proud of this is this was the hardest engineering challenge of my career. I've worked on a lot of things. I've worked on a lot of things that seem way more complicated than this, but this one was the hard one. And the reason it was hard is it has to fit inside this really small package, and it has to be affordable. So making this affordable and small was unbelievably difficult, and the owner of the company credits the loss of all of his hair to the stress of, can Shane make this work? Because he had literally put his personal financial future on the line, betting that Shane could make this work. And I'm very pleased that, he only lost his hair.
And not all his money.
And not all of his money. Yeah. And in fact, the company's doing really well, and there's been a lot of exciting movement. And so, yeah, I got to participate in inventing an entire new industry, a new product, and now we have the utility patent. Oh, but what I wanted to share about that is this technology we're actually going to apply to not only agriculture, but to what we're doing with the large-scale indoor farms and the automated farms that we're creating with the same technology that is inside our human-powered hydroponics. Just the same way that we can precisely dial the minerals and nutrients that our body needs for us, we can precisely dial those minerals and nutrients in for the plants using this exact same technology.
That is awesome. I just love to hear you talk about your inventions, and I have a deeper understanding about what it means to be your business partner. On the one hand, we are just excited about all of these great inventions that you're coming up with, and on the other hand, we lose our hair.
Yeah, you're not the first business partner that I've diminished their hair.
So we're going to try real hard not to have that impact on our co-founders, but no promises, right? I mean, if you hang around Shane long enough,
you know,
it just might happen to you too.
I have noticed that a lot of my business partners are shy of a little bit of headwear.
Oh, cool. Well, I think that's probably a good place to stop for the day. Shane, thank you very much for joining us here today and talking about your inventions and the diagrams and all of the cool stuff that you're able to bring to the market. If you or anybody that you know might be interested in joining us in Ascending Harvest in this humanitarian venture to, to feed the world and do what we can to help families all over the world in developing countries, slums, and refugee camps, get the nutrition they need to live long and healthy and happy lives, then please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about the possibility of partnering with you and getting you onto our team here. And until we meet again, which we hope to bring you another update much quicker than we brought you this last update, we'd love to say thank you very much for all your support, all your kind words, all your good thoughts, all your encouragement as we bring this product to the market. So this is Paul Hoyt saying goodbye. Shane, I will let you take us out.
Hey, thank you, everybody that tunes in to this video, this Zoomcast. I hope that you learned something. I hope you're inspired to create more value in your own life in whatever area of your sphere of influence, that you can create more value. And I hope that you join us. You can go to ascendingharvest.com and there's a donate button, and we would gladly receive your donation and turn that into helping somebody empower themselves with their own food.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.